Shalom, shalom. Hey, I got the $1 million question, right? For those that claim the mark of the beast is a microchip, right? With everything going on in the earth, who's going to implement the mark of the beast? What nation is going to implement the mark of the beast? Because if you say it's all white people, you got to be specific, because obviously Russia is not doing what America is doing. China is not doing what America is doing. Iran is definitely not doing what America is doing. What nations or what white nation is going to implement the mark of the beast? Because if you say it's America, then obviously it ain't going to be the whole world. So this is where the doctrine kind of falls very short. It takes a deep dive very short. If the mark of the beast is going to be a worldwide thing and you can't eat, right, and drink and buy and sell, right, all of this stuff with a physical chip, the $1 million question is, who's going to implement it? And I'm going to leave y'all with that, right? Because obviously the nations ain't getting along. And whatever NATO's doing, BRICS ain't with it. And whatever BRICS is doing, NATO ain't with it. So who's going to implement it? This is why I don't subscribe, and neither do the servants subscribe to the mark of the beast being a microchip.
Yeah. All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Harakak Wadash. I would also like to give a double honors to the apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone that do well, that have taught me this truth. And I would also like to say a sincere shalom unto the hopeful elect, unto the scattered elect that are scattered throughout the four winds of the earth, unto the true and sincere brothers that are out there prophesying and laboring in this truth and in this doctrine. Unto you I say shalom. This is going to be a response to Chief Ephraim'S $1 million question about the Motb. All right, several brothers, elders, apostles have already went into this, and I just want to put my 2 cents into this. And he's going into the mark of the beast about America, Russia, China, Iran, NATO, the BRICS. All these nations are at odds. So who's going to implement the microchip? Is America? Is China? Actually, America wants to be and are modeling their system that they're going to implement here in Babylon in America after China. Okay, but all these nations, one thing they have in common, whether they're at odds, okay, is trade. Trade is going to make these nations transform from their current currencies, all right, whether it be the yuan, the dollar, the what's it called, the ruby, the pound, the euro, to a form of digital currency, all right. And the digital currency, whether it be these different types of currency, dollar, the yuan, it's going to be digital, all right. And it doesn't matter if you're going to have that chip to trade. In these nations, they're at odds with each other, but they still trade right now. When the United States put all those sanctions on Russia, they were still purchasing and buying Russian oil. All right, hey, the world is at odds, or not the world, but Israel is at odds with Iran right now. But if Iran, one of the elders said this, if Iran really wanted to shake shit up, they would just cut off their oil. So they're still trading oil. They're still doing trades. All right. Trump put all these tariffs on China, but they're still trading. They haven't cut off the trade. All right, and that's the key factor to that's going to make everyone conform to this digital system, this Motb system. Okay, but another thing that stuck out to me about this is this guy, Chief Ephraim, he's not in the prophecy. He's not on his watch. Because if you were watching, if you understood what the hell is going on in the world with the CBDC, you got all these different nations going to some form of digital currency or about to, all right, you'll be able to connect the dots, okay? mark of the beast, microchip, buying and selling, digital currency. All right. Esau is trying to implement a tracking system where they can track not only the people but all transactions. If if the spirit of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi was dealing with you, you would be able to connect the dots. But it obviously this guy Chief Ephraim, he's going off somewhere. All right, whether whether he just can't see it or whether he was paid off to teach this false doctrine. All right, so let me grab a few scriptures um, to bring this all together, because the real true watchmen of the Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi of the Lord are going to be able to see these things and be able to read through the lines and tie in prophecy, current events to prophecy. All right, this is Habakkuk chapter 2 and 1. I stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what he will say unto me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. So we're on our watch. We're always watching. Okay? We like the apostle did earlier. Let me look this up. Let me see. Digital currency in China. The digital yuan, officially known as the digital currency, electronic payment, and first state-backed digital currency, is issued by Chinese central bank and backed by the renminbi. All right, let's see. Russia. Digital ruble pilot began in August 15th, 2023, with 13 major banks and 600 individual banks and 22 companies in 11 Russian cities. All right, let's look up America. All right, it ain't here yet. The simplest form of in the simplest terms, a CBDC is a digital national currency that is direct liability of the central bank, like paper dollars. The CBDC would be a liability of the Federal Reserve. So they're working on it. All right, America's the last domino, pretty much to fall. What else did he say? Iran. Secondly, Iran prefers using cryptocurrencies pegged to stable currencies like the U.S. dollar. So they're using cryptocurrency, which is why USDT is popular. So yeah, they're at odds. They're threatening America, but they're still using their dollar for trade. Trade is the common denominator that all these countries have in common. They're still doing trade deals, whether they're at odds with each other or not. Okay. Let me see. Let me get one of the BRICS nations, Brazil. The DREX, Brazilian Real. The DREX Digital Brazilian Real, Banco Central do Brazil. Does Brazil have a digital currency? Well, we just said it right there. Brazil has digital currency, and they're part of the BRICS nations. All right, let's look at India. And these are all the major economies in the planet, in the world. Digital rupee. All right, I'm even going to read into it. Let's look at Japan. Oh, shit, currency in Japan. While no decision has been made on whether to issue the digital yen, the BOJ began a pilot program for developing a CBDC in 2023. So that's what all these nations have in common. So once these digital currencies become available and they begin to use them, all right, the mark of the beast, all right, the RFID chip will be eventually be the main tool they use to make these transactions for their citizens, these different citizens. So who's going to implement it? Who's going to implement it? Of course, Esau, because Esau runs all these banks. All right, the wicked elite. I'll say that. All right, not just Esau. The Amalek is going to implement these digital currencies in all these banks that they run. Okay, so like I said, it's clear that this guy is not on his watch. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision, make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. And this is plain unto the holy. Okay, what does it say? But it's stumbling blocks unto the wicked, right? This is plain until the hopeful elect that have eyes to see that, okay, we can match digital currencies up with the the several different nations. Let me look up the digital currency in Europe. That's what I had to think of because that's the EU. Digital euro. The digital euro is a project of European Central Bank decided in July 2021 for the possible introduction of a central digital currency. So that's what all these nations are going to have in common. All right, and that's going to make transactions that much faster. All right, where through the using the blockchain technology. Where was it? What was it? Who did I just say? I forgot which one. I think it was Iran that said they use cryptocurrency. All right, so that's how all these nations are going to conform and make their citizens, all right, get down with this Motb system. All right, but like I say, this guy Chief Ephraim, he's not occupied in prophecy. You got to be occupied in prophecy. You got to be looking at the current events in the world and match them with prophecy. Okay, you can't be settled on your leads, as it says in what is that? Zephaniah, the first chapter. All right, thinking everything is cool. You got a position in Israel. You're known. You're popular. You can go out when you want to. I don't follow this guy's videos. I'm just doing a response video. But maybe he goes out every week. I don't know. But he seems to be known amongst the different Israelite groups or whatever. So hey, but he's going off right here. All right, he's not occupied in prophecy. Let me get this Sirach 39 and 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecies. You got to be occupied in prophecies. Okay? Everything that's going on. All right? You have to be on your watch daily. This ain't a weekly thing where you go in and do a few lessons here and there and you go out on Saturday and you good. No, you got to be on your watch constantly because you're feeding the hopeful elect. You're feeding the sheep of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi with these words of prophecy, okay, to give them the warning. If you're not giving the warning, hey, the Lord may take the spirit from you and give it to someone else, okay, and that because that's happened. All right, let me grab this real quick, and then I'm going to go to Revelations, Isaiah 9 and verse 16. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed. It's going to be a lot of destroyed Israelites, all right, that don't get this prophecy and don't understand this prophecy because this is a major prophecy. This is life or death because they listen and follow guys like this that have a following, but they don't got it all down. They don't got the full breakdown. Okay, but you got to come to the men of the Lord. All right, hey, maybe he need to sit down and watch one of the apostles' videos or one of the elders' videos on the breakdown of the Motb and pray that the Lord opens his eyes to see that. All right, because he's a so-called leader of Israel, but he's leading our people in the path of destruction. Because if someone off the street, an Israelite, comes up to him or comes to his camp and says, "Hey, what is this mark of the beast? Or what does this have to do with buying and selling?" All right, if he's not able to give them a direct answer or gives them a false answer, he got blood on his hands too. Okay, so hey, that's Jake, I don't know. This guy may be paid off, but hey, we'll see. Because if you can, as we get closer and closer to, and as we see these things coming to pass, as far as the digital currencies, everything going digital, this, whole surveillance system, and Jay can't see it, they're more than likely, they can't, Jay can't see it and begin to teach the right doctrine, they're more than likely been paid off. All right, and a true servant of Yahawah Bahasham ain't no price you could put on salvation. There's no price you could put on, doing this work. All right, for you to do it unrighteously. Okay, for the true and sincere prophets out there. This is Isaiah 56 and 10. His watchmen are blind; they are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs. They cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber. All right, they're blind dogs. They're ignorant. Okay, this guy, he's a blind dog. All right, and I think one of the elders brought it out that he used to teach the Motb was the microchip, and now he's going back and saying he don't know and who's going to implement it, and who's going to implement it? Is Esau going to implement it? This is, you got to know that the wicked elite who run all these banks, they set all this up. This is part of the secret council of the wicked, okay, where they control all the resources, they control all these industries, all right, and you got Jake in all these different industries, everything, and everything's attached to buying and selling. All right, that's how no one's really self-sufficient where we grow our own food and we make our own shoes and it's not like that. We're not in the ancient world, so we're dependent on this man's system. Okay, therefore they know that, so they're going to attach everything in your life to this new system, to this new digital currency. Okay, and in order for you to move and survive in this system, you're going to have to eventually take that Motb. That's where that chip comes in. Okay, but we're all going to have some form of digital currency eventually. But where do you draw the line? Okay, let me see. Let me grab this. Revelations 3 and verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell on the earth. That's everyone on the planet. That's not cosmos. That's oikomene. Okay, you go to the word world to try the whole world. Oikomene. All right, which is the inhabited earth. Okay, the whole world. All right, everyone in this world is going to, have to deal with that hour of temptation, where you're going to be given the option to take it or don't take it. Okay, and taking it, that's those that seeking to save their life. Okay, and those that don't take it are those that are losing their life in this life to gain Yahawashi, to gain the kingdom, to get to be redeemed. All right, to receive salvation if you're of the elect, because that don't mean just because it's Edomites that's going to refuse the chip. Okay, but that don't mean they're going to get salvation. All right, this is Revelations 13 and 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. And the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So you're going to be killed, not literally, but people are going to be literally be killed for not taking that Motb, but you're going to be cut off from this system. Okay, and part of that image, along with the democracy, the LGBTQ, and one world medicine, is one world government along with one world currency, with digital currency. Or you have all these different countries with the CBDC banks already set up, some form of digital currency on deck. So when the transfer happens, all right, they can their society, all right, their economy can hit the ground running. Okay, but when it's implemented, or when this digital currency is implemented, it's only going to be a matter of time before they say, okay, to use this digital currency, we're moving away from smart devices. We're moving away from credit cards. All right, you have to get this microchip in order to participate and to use your currencies, get your what is it called, your UBI or whatever benefits you have. All right, verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. All right, I've been going over what that mark is. And that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark or the number, say he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And why is this so important? Why do we always go into this? And this is the big deal. Because it is. All right, because the judgment that comes from taking this. And the third angel followed them. This is Revelation 14 and 9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture in the cup of his indignation. That's a serious judgment. That's a personal judgment from Yahawah for those that bow to this system, to this Edomite, that make this Edomite, this devil, this new world order system, your God. All right, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So if Chief Ephraim don't got an answer, You better figure out an answer unless you want to receive this judgment, okay? Or you better, this is serious. All right, Jake don't realize, Jake is always a day late and a dollar short. This ain't this. You better not be a day late and a dollar short on this Motb and what it is, because that's your ass. All right, the Lord is, man. We already know the elect is the elect. Or if you're allotted to get the mark of the beast, that's your lot. Okay, but if but you got to teach the right thing. Okay, if you as a prophet, what he said in this thing, the servants, you're a servant of Yahawashi, you have to teach the right thing and give the proper warning. Okay, if not, you're setting yourself up and your followers, all right, for destruction, for a personal judgment from the Heavenly Father and His Son. All right. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying unto the hopeful elect, and I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Harakakwadash, Shalom.